Welcome to another episode coming at you from chooseyourrelationships.com, author of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on amazon.com. So today I have a special guest. She's known as a healing expert, um, helping people with toxic relationships, mainly women, turning their pain into power with energy healing and reprogramming the subconscious mind. My special guest today is Danielle Ingenito. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So where you from?
New York.
New York City.
About an hour outside of the city.
Oh, okay. So that's like kind of like upstate.
Oh, it's not really upstate, but yeah, it's like kind of in the middle. It's not even in the middle. New York is a very long state, but we're about an hour outside of the city. So a lot of us commute into the city for work.
Okay. So how did you get started on this journey?
Yeah, so I got started in the healing journey, especially helping women heal from toxic relationships, because I went through a divorce myself from a toxic relationship, and I had been through years of therapy trying to fix our relationship. However, nothing was ever fixed. So when we got divorced, I was kind of devastated. He was with someone within a week, and therefore I needed some help, and therapy wasn't helping me. So I ventured into energy healing from somebody that recommended it.
Oh, okay. So do you think sometimes people have to go through things to get better?
I do. I'm an intuitive, so I read tarot cards, and there's this card in tarot that's the Tower, and it's like everything is crumbling around you. And I think that people really don't get better or don't want to change until we're forced to. And I think that those moments that you feel like your whole life is falling down is really when you get pushed to like make the change.
Okay. So what are some steps to heal after a toxic relationship?
Okay, so first, a good step is that you have to be aware of your responsibility and accountability in the relationship. We can't always blame the other person. I know that like I did blame my ex. However, now I looking back, I realize how much I was part of that because I was codependent. So I was seeking love outside of myself, not realizing that when I was doing that. So really being aware of your part to play in that, and then starting really to work with your mind and your energy. So really looking at the thoughts that are in your head, and really finding that love inside of yourself, because a lot of us get into toxic relationships because we don't have that love for ourselves, so we settle for breadcrumbs in relationships because just that little bit of love from somebody is like enough because we don't have it in here.
Gotcha. So how would you define a toxic relationship?
Yeah, I think there's two different kinds of toxic relationships. There's the kind of toxic relationship when you get into a relationship and things kind of fizzle out, but you don't really want to leave because you've been together for so long. And then it just starts to become toxic where, you don't have the affection, you don't have the sex anymore. And then like nobody's really happy, and that becomes toxic. The toxic relationships that I work with is with narcissists. So there's a lot of abuse happening. So it could be physical abuse, emotional abuse, and most importantly, sexual abuse as well. So with the emotional abuse, this is the abuse that you really don't see, and it's hard to identify. So this would be manipulation, this would be control, gaslighting, which is when they make you think that you're crazy. So if you're constantly like taking the blame for everything, even though you know it's not your fault, that's usually that emotional abuse.
Yeah. I've met somebody that was like that. It seemed like every time it was always my fault.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like I'm like, yo, wait a minute, it can't be just one person's fault all the time.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. So I saw your book was your book got my attention. And how did the book come about?
Yeah, it's funny because I'm an intuitive. So I knew I was going to write a book for a really long time, but I had no idea what it was going to be about. And I thought it would be about toxic relationships, but when it actually came downloaded to me, it was all about energy. And what I've realized is when I was doing my healing in the very beginning, I was like, how come nobody teaches us about our energy and how important it is to play in our mental health, because our energy holds our thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And here we are trying to fix our minds and going to therapy and, all this stuff, but nobody's actually working with their energy, which is the main root of why we can't get past certain things.
Yeah. So why do you? I think some people have bad energy. Yeah, because I'm an empath. So
Yeah.
and you can't turn it off. I
Yeah.
can walk in a room and I can instantly pick up on everybody's vibe. I mean, if they like me or don't like me or don't want me around.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are not aware of that. A lot of people are just kind of winging it.
Yes, I talk about that because I talk about this in my book, where it's the default energy and identifying when you're not in your own energy, because you can pick up other people's energy, but you can also take on other people's energy as well.
Oh
So you
yeah.
can take, if our energy carries our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, if you're taking on other people's energy, you're taking on their thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So if you ever catch yourself saying, like, I don't know why I feel like this, it's most likely because it's not your energy. All of a sudden you're in
Yeah.
a bad mood and you're like, what the heck just happened? It's like, I don't know why I feel like this. It's because you probably just took on somebody else's energy.
Yeah, and I can tell if I've known I've known women for a long time. And recently I just moved back to North Carolina, so I'm close to them now. But before that, I was in Atlanta for 10 years. So I could tell when I visited, um, each time it was like a different vibe, a different energy. So I kind of knew, I'm like, I don't know who she's been around, but it's a little, yeah, it's
Mm,
not the way, it's not really, that's not who she is,
mm,
but at the same time, I can tell she was kind of like, she wants to be one way, but but something else is going on.
yeah.
I can tell.
Yeah, I've experienced that. I've experienced myself. I've experienced it with other people as well. Like, literally, if you're carrying somebody else's energy, you do not feel like yourself. Like,
Yeah.
yourself is in there, and that's the person that's saying, "I don't know why I'm acting this way. I don't know why I'm crying." I tell a story in my book about, I had a friend, or there was a couple of days where I literally had to call out of, like, I canceled all my clients, and I was like hysterically crying on the couch, like watching sad movies, and I'm just like, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Like, why am I doing this? And then, like, the day after, I got a phone call from one of my friends asking me, like, why am I so depressed? Like, I was thinking about killing myself, like all this stuff. And I was like, well, geez, like, okay, well, at least now I know where it came from, because I was like, this isn't me. Like, there's no reason I should have been crying and all that. Like, I was doing really well. And this is the thing, like, you don't even have to be with them. They could
No.
just be thinking of you.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it's very important to be aware of that. And nobody teaches that. Nobody's like aware of
No.
it. Like you said, they're just winging it. And like, we're like all a mess, to be honest. Like, so
Yeah, because that's why my parents used to always say, watch the company you keep. But when you're young, you don't really know what that really means.
yeah.
So until I got older, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. So what made you want to write the book?
Well, I think my mission here on earth really is to spread awareness about energy. Because, like I said, we have energy healers. I'm an energy healer as well. But a lot of people are healing energy, but nobody's really teaching it. Like, nobody's really teaching you how to clear it, how to protect it, and how to heal it. And also, like, now I'm shifting into teaching people how to use your energy to manifest with it, because that's one of the biggest blocks that we have with manifestation, is that if our energy is holding our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, our beliefs and our thoughts have to be on the same page as our manifestations. So I think that energy is just such a crucial part of our mental health that we're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. So I wanted to, it's really a download from spirit. So they wanted this book out there. I literally just channeled it through and everything that I learned, and really just to bring awareness to energy.
So how long did it take you to write?
Oh, goodness. It was my first book. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it probably took me a good year to get it all done, but
Yeah.
in the writing process, it probably took me a good 4 to 5 months to get it all. And then we had to edit it and all that stuff.
Yeah, I have 3 books. I said this. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
You know. So
Yeah.
what kind of responses have you gotten from the book so far?
I got a lot of good reviews on Amazon. A lot of people are loving it, especially like if people never heard of it before. It really resonates and makes sense. So I think there's like big epiphanies happening. But then also, if you are into energy, like I break down, especially with the chakras, if you never heard of those before,
Yeah.
but I break down all of that stuff in a way that nobody probably ever has, because we talk about like, okay, if your chakras are open or closed and what that looks like, but I talk about where it comes from. So I love to get to the root of issues. So, okay, we know that we have a blockage in this chakra, but where does that come from? Where is the root of that issue? That's that block that we are talking about.
Okay. So when it comes to I would say women naturally use their intuition to manifest certain things into their life or whatever. And guys, well, we're a little different when it comes to that. So how do you use your intuition? I mean, to form better relationships and sustain longer relationships.
Yeah, intuition is the feminine energy. So we
Yeah.
have masculine and feminine energy, and it doesn't really have to do with sex per se. Like I'm a very masculine energy type of person where men could be feminine energy, right? So there's a good balance. You have to get a good balance between the two. And the intuition is really about feminine energy, which is basically receiving information rather than work, 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 and doing. Um, so I think that when you're using your intuition, you can get these messages of like kind of you were saying as well, like not just intuition, but energy, because intuition is just tapping into energy. Like I teach psychic abilities too. And all we're doing is just tapping into an energy we can't see. It's not in a physical form. So intuition is kind of the same thing. Like we're tapping into a higher energy to get information. So when you know how to tap into energy in relationships, you can be tapping into each other's energy, to be able to feel what each other are feeling without having to say, because a lot of people don't say what they feel. So
No.
it's very helpful in relationships if you can kind of already know what they're feeling and kind of go with that and play with that instead of just like standoffish from each other because you have no idea what each other are feeling.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing this? Well,
Yeah, so I've been teaching it for about 3 years now. 3 years, yeah, and doing about 4. That's how long like my divorce was 4 years ago. So that's when I ventured into all of this.
so how did you know that you could teach somebody or show somebody how to do this? I mean, at some point yeah, you know what? I can do this. How'd you know?
It's always a risk in the beginning.
Yeah.
When I start, I usually get a couple of people, like actually just did it in my course today or yesterday, where I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to teach light language and channeling. I was like, anybody interested in that? And then I usually bring people on for free and then like work with them and then see the results that I can get. And then once I know that, then I create a course around it and then, start charging. But I always want to see results before I put anything out there.
Okay. So what are your I guess your peers or your family, what do they think about what you do?
Well, when I came out of the spiritual closet, my dad was like, "Don't quit your job." Like that was the first thing he said. But now, years later now, like they're all on board and they're actually kind of into it and healing themselves. And it's actually a beautiful thing. Like when you heal yourself, people around you just start to heal. Like even my best friend, she's starting to be intuitive now. And I've never even taught her a thing. It's just being in the vibration, being in the energy. So they're all on board. My friends, book sessions with me, all that. Yeah, it's good.
That's good. So you have, it's mostly women or men or both?
Yeah, I work with mostly women. I am transferring into both. I've worked with men on psychic abilities and stuff. As far as the healing goes, like you said, it's a little bit different. I feel as though when you work with women, it's one way of healing, and then when you work with men, it might be a different way of healing. So mainly women, but I'm venturing in with men.
Gotcha. So when people hear the word psychic, people think about some lady in front of a crystal ball. What does that really mean?
Exactly. So when I'm intuitive and psychic, like, people think it's like reading the future and stuff,
Yeah,
and it is a
yeah,
little bit of that. But like I said, it's not a gift. Like, everybody has it, because we're all made of energy. So all we're doing is tapping into an energy that we can't see. So we could be tapping into an energy of spirits, of angels, of loved ones on the other side, of just divine source, whatever. And that's all we're really doing is if I can connect to your energy, then I can connect to a different energy that I can't see. So that's all really psychics are. So I'm sorry to burst any bubbles, but like, everybody has this ability. And I always say it's like a muscle. So as long as you work out that muscle and you practice it and you make it stronger, you're going to be able to connect.
gotcha. So how do you deal with, I guess, difficult people or narcissists? How do you deal with them, especially in a work environment?
When you have a negative person, two different things, right? So if you've got a negative person, first of all, you need to learn how to clear and protect your energy. All of that information is in my book, because you don't want to take on that negativity every single time you go to work. The other side of it is that you've got to work with your own energy, because you're most likely going into a lower vibrational energy just having
Oh
to deal with them. So I call this like the victim mentality, where it's like all of a sudden you go to work and then all of a sudden they start their stuff, and then you're like, and you get like all mad and angry, resentful, and then your energy automatically drops. So what I usually say is like, accept them for who they are and lose the expectation of them changing. And when you can accept people for who they are, then you kind of like back off and just are like, okay, well, I actually play a game with it. It's like, oh, okay, there we go. Let's see how long did that take today for them to say something like that? So like, you start to kind of have fun with it instead of being in it and letting them affect you so much.
Gotcha. Because I had a experience like that. My goodness, 2 months ago when
Ugh.
I left my job in Atlanta, and before I transferred, I told the manager that I was leaving. I was putting in a transfer, and as soon as I said that, it was downhill from there. I went from the best employee to the worst. So I can definitely relate to that.
That's actually called a narcissistic injury. So
Yeah.
when you piss one of them off, like exactly what you just said, it goes, you could be the best person and it'll treat you like the worst person, because you just like, um, affected their ego, affected their life, and they don't like that.
Yeah. So, and you know what? I actually bought your book, but I haven't received it yet. I was hoping that I would have received it by the time we did this, but hey, I'll get it when I get it, I guess.
Okay. You got it from Amazon?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So, if people wanted to work with you, where would they go?
So I have a website, DanielleIngenito.com. You can also find me on TikTok now and on YouTube. And I also have a Facebook group called Turning Pain into Power.
Okay. So, share this episode. Tell me what you think below. All links will be found in the show notes. Until next time, we out. Peace.